What's up, YouTube? So, this is again another book that I've read yesterday, and the reason that I wanted to read this book was because I really just wanted to know if I was doing too much exercise. Because as I stated in the past, when I read books, I walk. So I walk in my room while reading the books, and it actually totals out to a lot at the end of the day. And not only that, but also I go to the gym daily, and I do cardio there and I do weights there. So I was thinking, well, first, I was wondering if I'm the healthiest person on the planet. Because I haven't got sick in a year. I've been feeling great the past month and so. But before that, when I was in a brutal caloric deficit, I wasn't feeling my best. So I wanted to know, is exercise really that good? Or is it, or is it bad? So, oh, and as I stated in the last video, I'm going to try not to. Well, I'm not going to. I'm not going to look at my notes, and I'm just going to go off of what I remember in the book. So with Spark, they showed the county, or not the county, the school, or the city, I should say, of Naperville, and the area code is 203. I don't know why they, I don't know why they gave us the area code, but Naperville 203. Now you know. And basically, that school, their kids, they had them exercising every day. Like once a week, they would run a mile in the morning, and they would just exercise. But there was a test, if I remember correctly. It's called the TIMS. It's like I forgot what the T stands for, but it's like a math and science test that everyone, not everyone, but that countries compete with each other to see who gets the highest score, basically. And of course, Naperville, they got number one. Now, obviously, as I've read in the past through other books, the since the majority of the kids there were well, their families were well off financially, and they were Caucasian. And in the past, as I said, with the books I've read, the majority of kids that do good, their families have money and they're Caucasian. So, and he stated that too, that they're rich and they're Caucasian. So we can't really say that they're smart because of exercise, but we can say that they better than everybody because they're exercise, if that makes sense. So, so along with that, along with the people who exercise daily, we can talk about kind of the benefits of exercise. Now, exercise, it releases, or I can't say releases, it creates new neurotransmitters, which are, man, a lot, honestly. Insulin growth factor, that's one. BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor. Obviously, the dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. So, there's probably one more or a few more that I can't really remember right now, but when you exercise, those things get released, basically. And what BDNF does, the brain derived neurotrophic factor, and along that with dopamine, it helps you remember things better. So, for instance, if like this is a good example. If you ever been motivated to do something, like for instance, me, I'm motivated with reading books. So, so I could like me versus if there was someone who didn't want to read this book, like for school, for instance, if you had to read a book that you didn't want to read, there was less you were less likely to remember the things versus me who wanted to read the book and I wanted to get the information. So that's what BDNF does, and along with dopamine, because dopamine is your feel good hormone or feel good neurotransmitter, I should say, and it just makes you feel good about what you're learning. So, like for instance, I feel good reading books. I love reading books. That's the thing. Just keep it simple. And I love exercising too. So now we can talk about, well, and as you can see in the title, I can put my mouse over it. You can see it beats stress. So the exercise, when you have more dopamine, you feel better. With the serotonin, you feel more relaxed. You beat stress, sharpen your thinking. Again, because it enhances your hippocampus because of the beating after the brain down tropic factor. Lift your mood. This is again with the serotonin and dopamine. Boost your memory. Wait, he's basically repeating the same stuff. Boost your memory again with the hippocampus. Oh, also your executive functionings. I don't know if I mentioned this in the past. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the past book that I read. Your executive functions are basically they're your ability to choose something that you want to do. So, for instance, the example that I always give was with wanting to lose weight. Your executive functions, your executive functioning system decides that, okay, I want to lose weight, so what am I going to do, or what am I not going to do? Okay, I'm not going to eat a lot of cake. I'm not going to be in a caloric surplus if I'm trying to lose weight. So that's something that your executive functioning system does, and your executive functioning system basically helps you carry out the task that you want to do. But it tries to help you carry out the task, but you know, just because it tries doesn't mean it's not gonna happen, because it also relies on you. How bad do you want it? Are you gonna give into temptation, or are you going to fail your goal basically? So now we can kind of talk about the negatives that he mentioned with too much exercise, and it was kind of it was kind of weird that he mentioned that too much exercise is is bad because it degrades your hippocampus. But obviously, I'm not. I don't think my hippocampus is degraded. And also, there's one thing he did mention though that I see that I do have. It's called a paunch. I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, but basically it's like a layer of fat around your belly. And which is weird because I thought, like, I never had this before. Why do I have this? And I changed nothing in what I do, but basically people are marathon runners, because that's what he said. Marathon runners, they get a paunch because their cortisol just keeps pumping out cortisol, and and it ends up coming out with another layer of fat because of all the stress that your body is putting out. Because again, the stress from exercise, he talks about how it's a good stress, but too much, it leads to chronic stress, which again leads to too much cortisol, which leads to I can't say a minor gain in fat, but a minor gain in, see, it's because it's not necessarily visceral fat. It's just like extra cortisol. So it's like just extra. It's like stress basically. Think if stress were to, and I don't know, because when I think of fat, obviously I think of visceral fat. So I'm not too sure on the science behind fat. So I might have to read a book on that if I want to know more about it. But then, as I said, it was kind of, what's the word? I forgot the correct word for it. But when they like, well, it's like kind of like a dichotomy, if you know what that is. Like, it's like a divide. So he talked about how it's bad, but then he showed an example of someone who exercises every day and who actually does kind of the activity levels that I do, and with like exercising like 70 miles a week to 90 miles a week, which is basically what I do, and well, along with the weights too. But this guy was called, I think, Mr. Ultra Marathon, or Marathon Man, Ultra Marathon Man, something like that. So, so this guy, he kind of does the same activity levels I do, but like we're kind of the same, me and him, because like I haven't seen any, unless in the past. In the past, I have seen bad, or I have had bad symptoms of low cognitive functioning abilities, but now I don't, and that's really what I'm confused about. I tried to email Mr. Rady, but the I don't know if his website is not working correctly, or if it was my fault, but the message, it didn't want to go through. So that's one thing. If someone in the comments could help me with that, is walking almost 90 miles a week too much? Is the exercise I'm doing 7 days a week too much? But honestly, like when people say I go off of how you feel with exercise, that's kind of what I do now, because like again, like it's not like I'm killing myself to exercise. Like the exercise, it's fun to me. Well, when I read a book, like that's the thing. I can't say it's necessarily fun to me, because when I read a book, like I forget that I'm walking. Like hours can go by and I just forget that I'm walking. Like I'm just so focused on the book. But honestly, I think I've been recently I've been getting the good benefits of exercise, obviously other than the cortisol, but I don't necessarily work out for a physique anymore. Obviously it's cool, but that's not the main drive anymore. The main drive is just to get better. So Spark, and oh, he talked about, which we can talk about, and I can give my take on this, is how much exercise do you need? Now he recommended 1 hour a day, but because I just know how easy it is to exercise, I would actually recommend maybe a little more. But this is just kind of like my confirmation bias, because not necessarily confirmation bias, but like I think everybody has the ability to exercise 1 hour. Well, he says an hour 5 days a week. I would recommend. Actually, no. I will stay with the hour of cardio every day. But also, I would recommend hours with cardio and then weights. Or it doesn't have to be weights, but resistance. Because I used to do bodyweight exercise, and you can build muscle with that too. But I would recommend doing that 3 to 4 times a week. Or if you could do more than 5 times a week, but would be optimal. Well, not optimal is 4 to 5 times with body weight, if you would be doing that. But yeah, I would recommend doing some cardio every day. And like he said in the book, it doesn't have to be high intensity every day, which I don't do high intensity. And again, with like my max heart rate is like when I'm walking, it's 40% of my max heart rate. So I don't know if I'm like the perfect level of low intensity where it doesn't damage me anymore, or if just walking 4 to 5 hours a day is just too much. But I'll find it out. I'll read more on it. So Spark, what's the meaning of this book? The meaning is, get just exercise. It'll help you feel better. It'll help you learn more. Well, I can't say help you learn more. That goes with dopamine, but it it enables you to learn more. So if you were to exercise and try and learn a skill or a technique or something at the same time, chances are you do better than someone who's not exercising at the same time. So, Spark, this was, again, I already said the meaning. So, and just know you can become great too. That's one thing I really notice every day. Every day I look at myself and I tell me, today I have the option to be great. So I become great every day. Become the beast. That's Spark.